Hi everyone, and welcome to Lawyers with Game. If you're interested in learning more about legal issues in the world of esports and video games, you are in the right place. My name is Darius Gambino, and I am first and foremost a lifelong gamer. I have played on just about every home system from the original Atari to the Sega Dreamcast, personal favorite, to now the PlayStation 5. I am an intellectual property attorney with over 20 years of experience advising clients on issues related to patents, trademarks, and copyrights. My firm is Saul, Ewing, Arnstein, and Lehr, and if you want to check me out on Twitter, my handle is @PhillyIP. With me today are my colleagues from the esports and video gaming group at Saul Ewing, Zach Kizitaff and Mike Jacobson. Zach, maybe you can say a few words about your background.
Yeah, thanks, Darius, and it's good to be with you guys today. As Darius said, my name is Zach Kizitaff. I'm an associate in Saul Ewing's Philadelphia office, a member of the firm's video gaming and esports group. I also work with clients in the related areas of sports and entertainment and NCAA compliance. If you're interested, you can follow me on Twitter at Zach_Kizitaff. I'm looking forward to the discussion today, and I'll turn it over to Mike.
Zach, Darius, great to be here with you both. I like a little online competition when it comes to my gaming habits. You can find me playing Super Smash Brothers, NBA 2K21, even Call of Duty Warzone. And for anyone asking, yes, it did take me about 1,000 tries, but I have finished in first place in a round of Warzone before. I also like RPGs too. You'll find me playing Red Dead Redemption or The Witcher. Outside of the gaming world, you can find me in the courtroom. I am defending my clients, oftentimes in business disputes involving customers, vendors, and industry competitors.
Thanks, Mike. I love The Witcher as well. If you like this video series, please like and subscribe. And if you want to know more about any of us, you can check out our law firm website at www.saul.com. So Zach, maybe you can start us off by doing a little introduction into what exactly is an NFT.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Darius mentioned, NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and non-fungible tokens, NFTs, they're a cryptocurrency like you would think of with Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, things like that. But the difference is that NFTs are rooted in digital scarcity. So while one Bitcoin may be interchangeable with another Bitcoin, NFTs are not. So when you're buying an NFT, you're really purchasing like a unique token on a blockchain. So for example, with Top Shot, you're buying a unique NFT token on the Flow blockchain, and that's what makes that specific crypto coin or crypto token valuable.
Right. And you mentioned NBA Top Shot, which is another site that's kind of popped up recently, that where you can basically collect digital NBA cards. They're a little bit different than digital cards, and maybe Mike, you can give us a little intro to NBA Top Shot and how that relates to NFTs.
Right. So let's go back in the Wayback Machine for a second here. So when I was growing up in the 1990s and I finished my chores, get my weekly allowance, I was out buying the latest Fleer or Topps basketball card pack releases. Now, when you get those, the holy grail was getting a Michael Jordan or a Kobe or a Shaq insert. Heck, even for me, like a Sean Kemp insert would have made my day. But inserts were these special, rarer cards that were harder to find. You don't see them in every pack, and they're spread out randomly through all the packs that were released with that collection. And so what the card companies would do is they would make these limited number of these insert releases, and for these card collectors and basketball enthusiasts, those are the ones that the card community was looking to buy, sell, and trade. So what is NBA Top Shot? It's like the evolution of these physical trading cards. So think about NBA Top Shot like a live action trading card. So you've got James Harden being guarded by LeBron James. Time's running out, and James Harden pulls back for a step-back three-pointer with LeBron's hand in his face. Time expires, and nails the three-pointer at the buzzer. What a way to win the game. What the NBA does, it takes that highlight, cuts it into an official highlight, and calls it a moment. They then license that moment through their partner Dapper Labs. The moment is tied to the blockchain. So what it can be done is released as an NFT and purchased that way by consumers. So it's like a cryptocurrency in the sense that the blockchain gives each NFT a unique and non-hackable certificate of authenticity. With market scarcity too, these moments can be bought, sold, and some of these cards, these digital cards, are now going for what we're seeing as tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and you know, I heard about NBA Top Shot in January or so, and I purchased a couple of moments along the way. And my understanding of the company Dapper Labs that runs NBA Top Shot is that they got a license from the NBA to use these, what are basically short video clips, what they call moments, and they tie them to an NFT. And I think therein comes the legal issue, Zach, right? I mean, what does it mean to have an NFT, which is basically a piece of software, tied to a 10-second video clip of James Harden in Mike's example, but I'd rather, let's talk about Joel Embiid in my example, because, you know, I am from Philly. But so what does that mean? What does it mean legally to have a moment tied to an NFT?
Yeah, that's a great question because, I mean, whether you're an investor or just a consumer, I mean, you really want to know what exactly you're purchasing. So if you buy a moment, you know, which you kind of just defined what a moment is, you're really buying. So you're buying that rare, unique, non-fungible token, but you're also getting a revocable license to the art. And what Dapper Labs defines as the art is, you know, the video clip, the stats that come with them, everything that you think of when you think of a moment. That's really still Dapper Labs property, and you just have a license to use it. And you know, reviewing the terms and conditions, it's pretty clear that Dapper can revoke that license at its own discretion, essentially. But you know, so if you do something that violates the terms and conditions, and that license is revoked, then you know you just paid, in some instances, a lot of money for, yes, a rare token that you know is unique and has this digitized scarcity, but it's not tied to the art anymore, which is really what makes it valuable to other members of the Top Shot community.
Right, and I think I don't think it's likely that Dapper Labs would revoke your license to a moment, but it is possible, and that's something that investors should be aware of. Now, NBA Top Shot was a huge success. It made something close to $300 million in the first 3 months of operation in the early part of this year. The other leagues definitely are taking notice. The NFL a couple months ago announced that they were in active negotiations with a digital collectible partner. And just last month, Topps, the largest MLB, Major League Baseball collectible company, announced a digital offering. So how do you think this is going to affect, Zach, the world of NFTs with all these different leagues getting into the game?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the NFL, if they get into it, I mean, they're definitely the most popular league in the country in my mind. But I mean, people have gotten their feet wet with NBA Top Shot, the MLB, Wax NFTs, WWE is getting involved. So, and also I think especially baseball and basketball has more of a global reach than the NFL. So if those, you know, markets become interested in NFTs and they get involved, you know, perhaps it's a way to expand the NFL's reach as well. It's interesting that you mentioned the Topps Wax NFTs. I tried recently when they first dropped to snag a pack or two, and it was just like a free for all. There's so many people trying to buy the packs, and I thought I had one for a second, one of the premium packs with, I think it was $100 for a significant number of cards. I'm not sure the exact number, but so I thought I had one. I didn't have one, and then when they originally sold for 100, and then when I last checked, they were selling on the secondary markets the full packs for $900, $1,000. It's crazy the demand for these.
Yeah, that's something we really haven't talked about yet is the demand. Getting an NBA Top Shot pack as opposed to buying moments on the open market has been really difficult, and I experienced the same thing with the Topps digital marketplace as well. And I was not able to get a pack, but I went in and I went into the marketplace. And after people were opening packs and putting things up in the marketplace, and I was able to get a Bryce Harper card, a Fernando Tatis card, cards that I wanted for, a relatively small amount, $5, $10, something like that, just to have something in the collection. Okay, let's switch gears for a second and talk about a couple of fractional ownership apps that have come about in the last couple of months since we've all had a lot more time on our hands. One is called Dibbs and the other is called Collectable. And they basically allow you to own a piece of a sports card or a piece of sports memorabilia. But they also relate to NFTs. Mike, can you give us a little insight into how that works?
Absolutely. So this is kind of where the physical fungible card world and the virtual non-fungible card world are going to collide. Darius, say you, Zach, and I want to buy a Tom Brady autographed rookie card as an investment. But the three of us together, we don't have the tens of thousands of dollars to put up right away to buy that Tom Brady rookie card. So we want to pool our money together and find a way to go in the investment together. Well, obviously, we can do that, but there's only one card. You, Zach, and I, we're not going to rip it up into three pieces and each take one part of the card. That's obviously going to destroy its whole value. So what the NFT does is the NFT gives you sort of a divisible fractional ownership. The NFT is going to be tied to a specific physical card. When the NFT is divisible, though, that's where it's kind of like goes like a stock market. So we're each owning a divisible share of a card. And that NFT, when it's tied to a physical card, the value can go up and down, but it's more like a new investment vehicle for us to buy or sell small stakes in something that could ordinarily be prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, and make no mistake, I won't be buying a Tom Brady rookie card anytime soon. But it's interesting that you're taking an NFT now and you're fractionalizing it, right? You're taking one FT and tying it to a specific card, and you're breaking it up into, say, 10,000 different pieces and selling off each of those to different people so that they can own a piece of that card. And then if you want to sell that card at some point in the future for its full value, if you go around and gather up all the other NFTs, you can do that on sites like this. But the interesting thing about both of these sites is they have some specific limitations on when you can buy and sell. Are those types of restrictions legal, and should they be a concern for investors?
Yeah, let's take a look at Collectable, for example. And these are rules and restrictions that investors should know. Now, they may not be true stock markets, but Collectable certainly operates like one. For example, it only trades Mondays through Fridays. Now, when a new card comes on the market, that interest you're buying is considered a qualified private placement security by the SEC, and the offerings are regulated by the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority through a registered broker-dealer. Same thing with the secondary market. So say initial card comes on the market through an offering, and then you're buying and selling your interest with other users. Those are also regulated through the SEC and registered brokers. So as long as these initial offerings and these cards being traded on the secondary market are compliant with the SEC rules and restrictions, what they're doing here would appear to be legal.
Yeah, and I can tell you from personal experience that Collectable calls their initial offerings IPOs, just like when we talk about the real stock market, and they put them out there at a specific price. And inevitably, when those become traded securities on their open market, they go up in value. And Dibbs does something similar. They call theirs drops instead of IPOs. It's a little bit different, but it all operates very much like your TD Ameritrade account. I had to jump through a lot of hoops to get accounts on Collectable and Dibbs, including providing my driver's license, which was a shock to me. But it is pretty highly regulated. So let's talk about Wax, Zach, which we talked about a little bit earlier. The Worldwide Asset Exchange is a company that had an NFT marketplace for quite a long time, where you could buy and sell different licensed properties. They had Garbage Pail Kids and Street Fighter and a lot of other stuff on there. And then they got together with Topps, and they became the platform upon which Topps built its digital platform. And so what are some of the concerns that you might have with a company like Wax, which is a Cayman Islands company, versus a company like Dapper Labs, which is a standard Silicon Valley tech company? What are some of the legal concerns that exist there?
Yeah, review of the Wax terms and conditions. There's a choice of law provision stating that the laws, regulations, and restrictions of the Cayman Islands will apply to disputes. This imposes a mandatory binding and confidential arbitration when a dispute arises from wax products. The venue is the Cayman Islands, and any dispute less than $10,000 will be resolved essentially on the papers with no hearing. Unless a party requests a hearing, in which case it'll be a telephone conference. But just submitting papers and hoping for the best when your dispute could be up to $10,000. That's definitely something that caught my eye. The terms and conditions also include a carve out where the mandatory arbitration requirement is essentially waived, where the claim involves defamation, infringement, or misappropriation of any party's patent, copyright, trademark, trade secret, intellectual property, things like that. So, this is something that clearly favors Wax and Topps, where if one of those things is at issue, they can avoid arbitration and go right to a Cayman Islands court. So definitely drafted a little one-sided in that respect. But yeah, definitely an interesting note that I didn't know before reading the terms and conditions that if I'm buying a Topps card on the Wax blockchain, I'm consenting to binding confidential arbitration in the Cayman Islands.
Right, and you don't really have a choice, right? I mean, in order to buy the Topps digital collectibles, you have to have some kind of a crypto wallet. And in this case, I think you have to have a Wax crypto wallet. So you have to sign up with them. If you want those NFTs, you have to go through Wax. And it's a little bit scary that you're potentially dealing with a dispute in the Cayman Islands. I certainly don't have counsel in the Cayman Islands right now. I need to get someone on retainer in case my Bryce Harper card goes bad. But yeah, it's really a little scary once you look into it. And so, Mike, turning to that with the Wax blockchain and the Wax cloud, there's some issue with their terms and conditions beyond the Cayman Islands issue about whether you actually own the NFT. When I was reading through them, in some cases it indicated that you do own the NFTs that you purchase. For instance, the NFT that's tied to the Bryce Harper card that I've been talking about. And in some cases, they list the NFTs as licensed products, which would mean you actually have a license to them and you don't own them. In practice, I believe I was given an NFT code when I purchased a card on the Wax blockchain, so it seems like I own it. But what is the difference between license and ownership, and should people that are into collecting care about that?
Darius, I'm going to give you the lawyer answer. It really depends on what you're looking for in that card marketplace, whether it's ownership or licensing. NBA fans, they're diehard, they love the NBA, and they're probably more interested in ownership because they treat an NBA Top Shot like a digital trophy case. They want to show it off to other diehard fans just like them. Whereas Wax, in their business model, they partner with a lot of different brands and people and things well outside the sports world. And what people probably value with a company like Wax is having a platform that's secure, that they have a huge user base, that they can buy, sell, or trade with other users. That's an easy thing to do just sitting from your computer or on your smartphone. So if I'm on the Wax site, I don't know if I really care a whole lot about owning the card. I just want to be able to buy, sell, and trade it in the same way that I would sell a share of Microsoft on the NASDAQ.
Yeah. And the other thing that's interesting about Wax, too, is getting your money into your Wax cloud wallet. I had a little bit of a tough time doing that. I think Zach tried as well and had some difficulty. And ultimately, it took a couple days for it to make it into my wallet. I was concerned there for a little while that I had completely lost it. But once I was in there, it is actually pretty easy to buy and sell any kind of NFT on the Wax marketplace. It's at first I had some concerns, but it's turned out to be a pretty impressive platform so far. So let's turn this back to video games for a second, and to maybe conclude our discussion. I can definitely see a scenario in the future where you have a video game publisher, for instance, like a Take-Two, who publishes NBA 2K, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, a lot of other great games. And for instance, they set up a program where the first person to perform some type of a task within a game, let's say NBA 2K, you're the first person to achieve a particular card, a particular digital card within the game. I can see scenarios where a publisher would grant the player an NFT for making that accomplishment, for essentially leveling up. And then that NFT would be a one of one. It would be a rare commodity. It would be something that could be bought and sold. I can definitely see something like that happening. And I can see that publisher, in order to garner interest in its other properties, going out and saying, all right, if you hold this special NFT and you bring it over to one of our other games, if you bring it over to Grand Theft Auto and you show us that you own it, we're going to give you a special skin, or we're going to give you a special weapon in the game. I mean, do you think that's a viable possibility going forward for video games? Mike, I'll start with you.
I think you're definitely going to see a lot more of that in the future. And I think the NFTs are here to stay, and they're going to expand in terms of usage, in terms of video games, just the way you said, because it is something of value, and the scarcity of it is what gamers are going to be after. You know, you see gamers valuing their highlights already on platforms like Twitch. So be able to turn a Twitch stream or a Twitch highlight into a commodity that you can use for other power-ups or different things in the game, I think that developers are going to see that and market that and sell that to video game players in the future.
Right. Zach, any comments on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Mike's input. And I think it's important to note that the people who play video games and the video game consumers, they're the ones who would understand the NFT concepts the best, where, you know, a lot of people, your casual sports fan who's not as tech savvy may not quite understand the cryptocurrency aspect, so might be a little more hesitant to jump in. But I think you have a pretty big market there, good opportunity.
Yeah, and I think this is a good entree into also saying that we are all open to playing games against anyone who wants to come try us. I am Eagles Fan 71 on the PlayStation Network. Mike is MJ44 on Xbox Live, and we are still working on getting Zach a gamertag, but he is going to have one soon, I guarantee. Keep in mind that this series is intended to be a general and high-level discussion of legal issues in the esports and video game world. It is not intended as actual legal advice. If you need actual legal advice, please reach out to one of us and we're happy to help you. Our email addresses will be in the description. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for being a part of this discussion about NFTs. If you have any legal questions about any of the issues that we raised today, please drop them into the comments and we will do our best to answer them without actually giving any real legal advice. Until next time, I'm Darius, this is Zach and Mike, and we are Lawyers with Game. See you next time.